What is up, everybody? Good morning. It is a very busy day for us here on Stock Market TV. We've got some monthly candlesticks, so we'll talk about that. We have so many earnings to discuss. Meta last night, Apple, Amazon tonight. We have JC has his conference call for members of All-Star Charts later. We got a strategy session for the breakout multiplier folks later. So a lot going on today. Let's get right to it. Andrew Thrasher is the guest. He'll be on at 9:15. Not 9:15, and that's the rundown. So here we go. Smash the like. Let's boogie.
Oh, what a wonderful evening I had. Did you guys have as nice of an evening as I did?
I don't think so.
No.
How many monthly candlestick charts did you guys go through?
0. I'm doing mine today. What?
That's fine. It was a unique circumstance for me. There was cheerleading for the 4-year-old girl, so the ladies were gone, and then the boys didn't take a nap during the day for whatever reason. I think they were at the Crayola factory. So there was no nap. So they were out by 6:30. So I had 2 hours of alone time between 6:30 and 8:30 while the girls were doing girl stuff. The boys were asleep, and it's just me. You know,
that's a lot of charts. You could do a lot of charts in 2 hours.
A lot of charts. So that was my evening. Just gonna brag about it. It was great.
All right. So one question for you. The question everybody wants to know based on what you're saying. What is the best stick out there right now?
The best stick out there, I mean, it's probably going to be in small cap land. You know, you can argue regional banks, you know, the small cap S&P 600, you know, best sticks, India, Nifty 50, Nifty 500, both of them putting in big sticks again. The mid caps, new all-time highs. We'll go over those. Those are some big sticks. Financials, new all-time highs, big stick. You know, there was a lot of things happening in the month of July. A lot of things happening. You know, one of the things that I would point out to, you know, there were a lot of people last year, you know, talking about how this is not a bull market, you know, the breath is too thin, the recession, the Biden, the yield curve. I mean, so many, the wars, right? There were so many reasons why they kept telling you all year. All those reasons have been proven wrong. They keep making up new ones. You notice? They keep making up new ones. The latest one, what's the latest one?
Well, now it's
the Fed. Now it's the Fed again.
Well, now there's gonna be a whole regional war in the Middle East. I don't know if you heard about that.
I know, shocking. I can't believe there's a war in the Middle East. I can't believe it. That never happens.
Hey man, that's what they tell me.
Is there? Let me ask you this: has there ever been a bull market where there wasn't a war in the Middle East? Out of curiosity, at least one.
Good question.
I think it's par for the course. Bull markets include wars in the Middle East. Bear markets also include wars in the Middle East, right? It's just, you just assume there's always some shenanigans happening out there.
A textbook characteristic of any bull market is war somewhere. Right?
That's right. That's right. I remember the 90s. Lots of stuff going on, Persian Gulf, all that stuff. Man, it was a good time to own stocks. I'll tell you that much.
All right.
Can I show you my favorite candle? Let's hit the bumper, do state of the markets.
Hit the bumper. We'll do state of the markets, and we'll start with Strazza's favorite chart. I gotta see this.
You know what it is.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's do a little state of the markets here. We've got the Dow futures up 80 points this morning. 41,150 for Dow futures. S&P 500 futures up 0.5%. Pushing 5,600 for the S&P 500. Wow. NASDAQ 100 futures up again after putting in was it a 3%er yesterday? Did anybody get the final tally? Big move in the NASDAQ. Yeah. My understanding was that tech stocks were going to drive the market lower. Looks to me, by my math, the exact opposite is what's happening. So tech, NASDAQ up 0.2%. Up over 100 points today, getting back above 20,000, attempting to get back above 20,000. 30-year bond futures up a full percent today. You know, you want to talk about big sticks, bond market putting in some big sticks. Crude oil yesterday having a day, up 5% yesterday. Crude oil back above 78. this morning, up 0.5%. Copper down almost a full percent. Had a nice couple of days. 4.15 for copper. Gold up another percent. Highest monthly close in the history of gold. This going all the way back to before the birth of Christ. Go back to the dinosaurs. Gold has never closed a month higher. Here we are, sitting right below 2,500 for gold. Ain't that something?
However, you can't say the same thing about silver, though, right?
Nope. Silver still has upside, still under 30, up 1% on the day, though, for silver. And over in old funny money land, you got the Bitcoin doing nothing, right under 65,000. Ethereum down 1%, 3,200 there. Solana back to 170, flat on the day. Binance also flat, 574. Total crypto market cap, Spencer Israel, 2.279 trillion. 2.279 total Bitcoin dominance. In other words, the percentage of Bitcoin market cap as a percentage of total Bitcoin market cap going out for the month at the highest levels, which is 56%, at the highest levels since March of 2021.
I got to say, I'm excited for the Coinbase earnings call later.
I'm sure you are. I know few people who are as excited as you.
I'm all jacked up for it.
I like how you brought your sell puts naked shirt. Is it because of what you are doing in this current market environment, or was it just at the top of the pile?
I didn't do any yesterday.
No, I know. We discussed this, but like, are you going into today looking to do some of that?
Yeah, Micron. I'm looking at you, Micron.
All right. Strazza, let's start with you, my friend. You have what you think is the best stick for July. Let's see it.
Throw it up. The God candle in the community banks in the month of July, best month ever, calendar month ever for this index. These are the risky ones, JC. These are the ones that all year we've been looking at each other and saying, well, the big ones are working. How come the little ones aren't? Big change. Big change.
These are smaller than regional banks. Is that right?
There's a lot of overlap, but yeah, ideally. Shouldn't have the super regional stuff.
They're not that small though. Look at you're looking at the you got the Bank of the Ozarks here. You got Commerce Bank shares is 8 billion.
Yeah.
You got Wintrust Financial here, that's 6 billion. So they're not that little.
Well, look, you got below 1 billion. I see like 75 of the components are below a billion.
75. Yep. How many components does it have?
I'm seeing 125.
Wow. Yeah. Very aggressive. That's a good stick. Listen, Strazza, you asked me what's the best stick. I said it's got to be somewhere in the small caps, right? Financials
or both.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm with you. Why don't we expand that universe into slide 2?
Bang.
Is this the best 1 month performance for community banks ever? Is that what you were showing there?
Best month ever for community banks. Yeah.
How about the S&P Small Cap 600 Index? Closing the month at new all-time highs. Highest monthly close in the history of the Small Cap 600 Index. What do we think about that?
I think the simplicity of a monthly line chart is such a beautiful thing. Look at this.
No, it really takes a certain level of maturity to appreciate that, Strazza. So I see you, dog. I see you. I don't think in your younger years you would have appreciated a good monthly line chart. Do I have that right?
Absolutely. But boy, has that changed, right? The longer you're around. I was talking to our good friend Brian G yesterday, and me and him and Alfonso were just sitting around talking about how great monthly charts are.
I know. We were in a meeting waiting for you to come, and you're sitting around talking to Brian G. I love Brian G too, but
we went down the Form 4 rabbit hole. We did a whole thing. It was great. Haven't talked in a while, so it was good.
3 nerds just sitting around chatting. No big deal.
Yep.
No big deal.
JC and I were sitting there like twiddling our thumbs, just waiting.
I told you.
We had some other stuff to discuss, Spencer and I, but like still, Strazza, like who do you think you are? Like you're not
sitting there.
I told Spencer when he scheduled the meeting, it wasn't
like,
a good
what
time.
A diva, this guy. What a diva.
No.
All right, so small cap 600, new all-time highs, very impressive. Let's get back to the candles. Next chart, Spencer, my good man.
Oh, yeah.
So,
JC, is this the one to be in? If you're an index person, so all my passive investors, listen up. We're saying we want the smaller stocks, but which ones? Because it's always been when we go down the cap scale, you got to be in mid caps. They're better. Is that still the case? Or do you want to go all the way down to the small caps? You want the 400 or the 600?
I don't think you want one or the other. Like the way I look at it, you got the mid caps working, you got the small caps working. Russell micro caps are next, by the way. Not to let the cat out of the bag, but listen.
Yeah. Do you want the
all-time highs for mid caps? This goes back to our friend Ed Clissold. Love Ed over at Ned Davis Research. You know, he went back and he found how many occasions the worst performing group between small caps, mid caps, and large caps, right? The worst performing group for the year. As it turns out, mid caps have only been the worst performing group going back 50 years, like twice.
Yeah.
Right. So the way he puts it, and I love the way he says this, if rule number one is don't lose money, then mid caps are a great way to accomplish that don't lose money goal.
I love it. Like I think they're rarely the top performer too.
I was gonna say, I remember that chart. They were never last, but they weren't first all too often either.
Right. It's a great study.
And also, I would encourage everybody to find some old guys, gray hair.
Yeah, the older,
been around 30, 40, 50 years. Talk to them. Tell them to tell you their best stories, the best performing stocks they ever bought. You know what you're going to find? You're going to find a lot of those success stories came from mid caps.
Hey, now.
I'm telling you, I've done it. I will keep doing it. I encourage all of you to do it. They don't even have to be professional traders. If they're professionals, it's probably better because they probably have more stories. But go find somebody who's been doing this a long time, professional or otherwise. Talk to them. Ask them questions. You're going to find a lot of success came from these $4 billion, $6 billion market cap stocks, and they crushed. So I'll take a look at that. All right, next chart, Spencer Israel. Another monthly candlestick. New multi-year highs for the micro caps, folks. These are stocks that are below $300 million. 50 to 300 is my understanding. New multi-year highs for the micro caps, Strazza. Is this further evidence of market deterioration, or is this evidence of accumulation and breadth expansion?
This is so good. This has been one of the laggard indexes this whole cycle, right? This thing was at new multi-year lows in just late October of last year. Screamed higher. Now the base is completed. High and tight flag here. Looks like small caps are resolving their flag today. Russell 2000 or Russell microcaps probably do the same thing, right?
Strazza, do we have bull markets without financials?
Listen, you're gonna keep getting the same answer from me here. You like asking me questions when you know my answer is gonna be I don't know. I really don't know at this point. We never used to. I think that's always been a good rule. I don't know if it will be a good rule in the future. We gotta wait and see.
Do you know what the largest component, the largest weighting of the microcap index is?
It gotta be all those community banks.
It's, biotechs and banks. Those are the big ones. Between biotechs and banks, you're looking at that's almost half of the microcap index.
Did we do the 3 Bs on here yesterday? Does everybody know about the 3 Bs yet? We didn't do the 3 Bs. We could do it later.
We didn't do the 3 Bs. But let's next chart, and you can tell us about the 3
Better
Bs.
Business Bureau.
Next chart.
The Better Business Bureau nailed it, Spencer.
My understanding is there's a 4th B, but you can go ahead. Tell them banks. Financials new all-time highs, by the way. Is that bearish? Is that bad?
It's a good question. If we had a 4th or not. No, it can't be a bad thing, right? It's one of those things where I don't know how bullish it is anymore, but it ain't bearish. It's some sort of bullish. The level of bullish is unclear to me.
That is a good answer. Definitely not bearish. The level of the degree in which it is bullish is the question mark, right? Yeah. It's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
Highest monthly close ever for financials. Spencer Israel, somebody who is not jaded like Strazza and I are. What does this mean to you?
I'm jaded in other ways.
Indeed, just not in our weird way.
Yes.
You have other weird things that you do.
It definitely can't be a bad thing, right?
Guys, it's so good. It's so good. Spencer, do you see these asset managers? Like
No, honestly, I'm coming around on the idea that like the future is not, we're all going to be owned not by big tech, but by like big asset managers, right? Like they're just taking over the world.
Great. The asset managers own the tech, do they not?
Hey now.
Yeah.
So these
these asset managers, if the market is rigged, don't you want to own the companies that are taking the most advantage of said rigging?
they're getting a lot of business from that used to be business for the traditional banking system.
This is also true. Yeah.
To private equity. And we can invest in private equity very easily in the public market. There's even an ETF for it. But I'm talking about Carlyle Group, Blackstone, KKR, Apollo. These charts look phenomenal. The breadth of financials right now is better than I've ever seen it my entire career. Insurance, capital markets, the brokers and dealers, the data companies, the exchanges, all the banks now. It's all working.
Can we talk about how the Trump mentioned choke point 2.0, chokehold 2.0?
The betting markets for what these guys say when they speak are just off the hook. Have you guys been seeing this on the Twitter?
I'm not sure what you mean.
Like prop bets on like what Trump will say at a speech.
Yeah. I mean, listen, during the debates, I had China. I won like $760, I think. $750, something like that. That's a lot of money.
You're an idiot.
I'm an idiot.
That's crazy, man.
It was plus 375 for China. So how much did I win? I won 750. Yeah, 750.
That's so good.
I bought, like I said, I was buying shots for everybody, and I was buying everybody drinks, and then some guy at the end of the bar covered the tab. So I felt bad because I was really only doing that because I had China,
That's awesome. No,
yeah, that's pretty great.
It's a good bet. You had
hold on. Can we talk about how just so this was just a this was kind of like a crypto people thing, chokehold 2.0, right? When the Obama administration came in and kind of did all these unconstitutional things to regulate banks and guns and porn and all these things, right? This is that.
JC,
and it's the same people from the Obama administration with the Bidens. They did the same thing to these banks.
You could forgive them for wanting to regulate banks after the financial crisis. I think a little bit. You can find it in your heart.
It's not my job to forgive them or not. It's a fact that they did unconstitutional moves to shut down certain industries, whether for good reason or not, like porn and guns. I mean, I'm not saying they did it wrong. They just did it illegally, right? So they did the Biden administration, those same characters did the same thing to these banks. I have friends at those banks. There was no reason for these banks to have been shut down. They did nothing wrong. It's just that the federal government, the Democrats and the Biden administration wanted to shut down these banks because it made them sad that they were participating with crypto, and they shut them down. But that has never been acknowledged by the federal government. This has just been like a crypto people conversation. But Trump is now acknowledging that.
It's never been acknowledged by the mainstream media, not even business media. It's terrible. No one is coming out and saying it.
Yeah, but the mainstream media is leaning left with the Bidens and the Obamas, so it's in their best interest to not tell anybody.
Something.
Anyway, the point is, regardless of who, Democrat, Republican, it doesn't even matter. The point is that Trump, whether you like the guy or not, is actually acknowledging, right? So, fascinating to me. Fascinating on these banks.
What was ever the rationale to try to regulate the crypto industry in the same way that they tried to regulate drugs or porn or firearms?
Because you got the communist in Massachusetts. What's her name? The one who lied about being Native American. What's her name?
Cryptocurrency is a threat to traditional currency, which is government controlled, right? So every government has an interest in trying to control their own currency, and cryptocurrency flies in the face of that. So
I think that's
what is the lady? What is the communist from Massachusetts?
Elizabeth Warren. I haven't heard from her, JC. We haven't heard from her in a while.
Well, there's a good reason for that.
She's been, I don't know.
Can you imagine understanding financial markets so little that you think crypto is a true threat to the US dollar?
You know what's fascinating is that the stable coins, the growth of the stable coins is just a positive for the United States dollar. The growth of the stable coin economy just makes the US dollar stronger and more viable. So this is not a bad thing for the dollar.
I couldn't agree more.
The whole thing is, it doesn't even matter. My point is, bringing this back to financials, my point is, for the first time ever, you have the government actually acknowledging this unconstitutional behavior,
Yeah, it's great.
And that's interesting. It's not just like these crazy crypto people in the corner of the internet in the in the middle of the night. It's not that anymore. It's not just that anyway.
Coinbase is winning so hard right now. I mean, they must be sitting back in the boardroom, Coinbase executives, like, thank God, we finally made it.
I don't know that they've made it quite yet. I think that we're getting there, but they still have work to do. I think you can agree with that.
Enough of this. Let's actually talk stocks, please.
Can we bring it back to the trannies? Let's bring it back to the trannies, because this, to me, is a big one, guys. When you talk about this parabolic nature of the market, this is unsustainable. The market is due for a correction any day now. This correction, any day. Forget the fact that we had a major correction last quarter. Let's just ignore that aspect. The correction is now due this quarter, which is hilarious to me. When you are told that this should be that the correction is coming any day now, and then you look at arguably the second most important stock market index on the planet, arguably, doing nothing for 30 months, that's 2.5 years for you math majors, 2.5 years of nothing. Tell them, Spencer, 0.0.
0.0.
That's right. That's right. And we're bringing in here our good friend, the monthly line chart, which I must say, Strazza, I'm a little bit impressed by you, just how much you're appreciating these monthly line charts today.
Oh, they're just
good on you.
I don't like this one as much as some of the others, but
what's wrong with this one? This one, you're not entertained?
I don't know. If this was like the 1800s, I might be like, oh yeah, these stocks, that's something.
Oh, got it. Because you're beef with the trannies. That's your problem. Yeah. Well, I'm old school.
Old Dominion. Old ODFL for the win.
Old Kenny on, please.
So flat since May of 2021. So that's almost 3 years of sideways action for the trannies. Almost 3, right? No, wait, more than 3 years. Am I wrong? What's wrong with me? More than 3 years.
Is it?
It's years and years.
Yeah, more than 3 years, bro. For arguably the second most important index in the world.
I'm not taking the bait.
You're not taking the bait. Okay, last chart, and then we're bringing Kenny. Ready? Next chart. You're not going to like this one either, Strazza. Tell me why you keep fighting this trend.
Not interested. Speaking of parabolic uptrends, go ahead.
Fine.
Go for it. Set your trailing stop. Good luck.
There are Indian stocks that keep working. It doesn't mean you need to buy the Nifty 500 index. I don't think you can anyway. I think the Nifty 50 you can, but the Nifty 500 you can't. Right?
I think it's INDA tries to track the 500. But yeah, no, I'm with you, man.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Look at Make My Trip has been an absolute monster. These Indian banks, ICICI, HSBC, not HSBC, HDFC, so many letters. HDFC. The fact that I can keep them all straight is pretty good. HDFC keeps ripping. What about the tech one? What is it? Whirly? What is it? Weasel?
What?
Whirly?
What?
Yeah.
I got nothing for you.
Weagle?
No.
All right.
No.
They're out there.
I don't have
Indian stocks, man. Indian stocks.
All right. I'm bringing Kenny on.
Bring them on.
It's been a long time coming. They ain't come for my club, they took it. Putting up numbers, 99 problems, and I still kept it 100. Hola. Yeah.
Hello, is this thing on?
Are we on? We are on. Sorry, Kenny.
There you go. What's up?
What's going? Whoa! All Georgia out today. What's going on? What's that about?
It's crunch time. We're getting ready for the road trip. I'm driving my girl down. I got my Trump flag. I got my Confederate flag. I got my dueling banjos hanging out in the back. I'm ready for the road trip. I will not be pulled over.
You paint the roof of your car?
Yes.
Good.
You look good. You look good.
Thanks, but what's going on? I'm in the other room. I'm getting my coffee, and all I'm hearing is tranny, porn, and lines. What kind of party is happening here this morning? Tell me about it.
Maybe get your head out of the gutter there, Kenny. We're talking about line charts. Talking about line charts, not rails. Line charts. We're talking about the Dow Jones Transportation Index.
Oh, okay.
Right? The Dow Jones Transportation Average, otherwise known as the trannies. The Home Builders Index would be the homies, right? Semiconductors would be the semis, right? This has nothing to do
one
with
I'm hip
dudes.
to. I'm hip to the semis. I'm hip to the semis.
You're hip to the semis. You see,
Yeah.
like the dudes dressing as women and fighting in the Olympics as women. Like, what kind of weird shit is going on in Paris, bro?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I only trust the internet for all my vital information nowadays.
Very, very strange.
Yeah.
And then the Trumper just acknowledging the unconstitutional acts by the federal government to shut down certain banks that we were privy to last year. It's the first time they ever acknowledged that. So I just think that's interesting.
Cool.
All right,
Kenny, so anyway, just to answer your question, why trannies, porn, and
Kenny, what's on your mind here?
What's on my mind is that I got lit up yesterday, and we even warned you guys in the morning, don't short the market. There was nobody selling yesterday. It was crazy. We had, I was basically over trying to play some pullbacks on some stocks, but again, here I am again, the same attitude. I'm just looking at some of these gapped up stocks like Carvana today. Got not enough volume to get something going in the morning, but I'm just looking to play the fade on something. But there was no fading yesterday. But on the destruction side, Myrna, remember Myrna? mRNA, everybody remembers.
I love how you call it Myrna.
Yeah, Myrna. Now that it got smoked, I'm interested because it just broke under 100, back over 100. I'm looking to buy. So nice, easy number to remember, that $100 spot.
And back above that. Back in the spring, that was support.
Yeah. So now that's a big number in the world of trading. But more importantly, I mean, that market yesterday was just out of control. I mean, it was just like anybody who thought about shorting was just you got annihilated. But so today, I don't know. I'm just waiting to see if the Qs have any sellers left because I don't know. It's amazing how quickly they disappeared overnight. But I'm not going to get in the way. I'm just going to stick with these crazy names. And again, the oddest stock I think over the last couple of weeks has been the Sava. Have you watched this? Every time this company has bad news, they crash it. And then it has this amazing comeback. And now the comeback has gone back over where the original fraud allegations were put forth. So phenomenal action on this one. You guys got to be watching this one. ASTS still continues to be in play.
Hold on. Stick with the Sava.
Yeah.
Stick with the Sava. That former resistance from 1820 turning into support over the last month or so.
Incredible.
Huge move. This is a great example of how fraud can be a great thing for opportunists, right? Because like in this case, like they're fraud and then fraud again, and then maybe it wasn't fraud. Like the good thing is that we don't care at all.
Right.
What we're interested in is the actual movement. So this is one of the good instances, one of the great instances where fraud is excellent, and we are looking specifically for names that are fraudulent, right?
Yes. I love a good fraud play. Yeah. I mean, it really was. I mean, and again, there was 3 different instances where this stock got slammed, and it just that second or the third slamming when it didn't break the original fraud allegation day, that was it. And it just they washed the last guy out, and next thing you know, $13 it broke, and you got back into this big candle. And when you get into these destruction candles and you start plowing your way through it, it's very easy to get back to the bottom of prior candles. I was very impressed. This thing got back to 18, and like you said, above 1850. You got another 5 points on it. So once again, I'm looking to see if there's some sellers showing up here, considering the stock's up 300% off the lows. But again, it's so difficult to short the last 24 hours. It's just I got to be, I got to slap my hand on the, on the wrist. But Carvana, this one I'm dying to short.
Yep.
If there was some volume out there, I would be already short. It's already broke back below the VWAP.
It's surprising that there's more volume this
Kenny,
morning.
there is volume.
Well, you only got 250,000 shares. That's not a lot. I like where you have, at least 1 million shares. You got a large spread. So if you get this wrong, a couple of 100 shares against you, you're you're down 2 or 3 points on the name. So I'm going to wait. And again, hopefully it stays above this is your pre-market low. So that pre-market low gets broke, I'm shorting it no matter what. But, again, I'd rather play this one with options, and I'm going to look at the weekly Fridays. So tomorrow's 145 puts I'm looking at. Again, I got a thing about Carvana, considering it was one of my favorite long plays from 2 years ago at 750. You know, I was blowing out at 50, you know, and 75. I thought I was a hero. Now it's up another 100%. So I'm again, my bearishness comes out, especially on stocks. Again, it's the wrong way to think about it. Like most bears get something wrong. We're just angry that the stock went up so much after we sold. We want to short it. It's the worst attitude in the world, but that's what keeps me focused is price. So again, I'm not going to short the stock unless it tells me to short it, because that's how you get your ass kicked, especially in this market.
Yeah, but I like where your head is at on the mean reversion, guys. And in this case, you know, if you're wondering why is Kenny fighting all these trends, this is what Kenny's doing, because on an intraday basis, these trends mean revert, and there's plenty of opportunity there. So I really love this, particularly as a complement to any trend following strategies that an investor might have, which should be most of the stuff that you're probably doing should be trend following in nature. You know, breaking it down to shorter time horizons, being very complementary to strategies in longer time horizons is great, Kenny.
Yeah, I mean, this was one of my favorite long-term plays there were, because I never seen analysts still hammering something. They were loving it at $300, and those same analysts were telling you to stay short at $10. I was like, okay, you're
Yeah, but isn't that why they're analysts?
Yeah.
Like my wife the other day was like, oh, I was at the car dealership and these guys don't know what they're doing. Nobody cares. Nobody's working. I'm like, right. That's why they're used car salesmen and not doctors, right? Like, what'd you expect?
The funny thing is, there's a guy working at the Nissan dealership who used to be a trader sitting next to me back in 98, 99.
See what happens when you YOLO irresponsibly? You turn into a used car salesman because you run out of money. See?
And he was the man at one point. He was doing 20,000, 30,000 a day, and now he's selling Nissans on Route 9 in Manalapan.
Oh,
so
of all cars, Nissans.
Yeah. But listen, I wanted just to caution you. The sellers did not show up yesterday. I don't know if they're going to show up today, but I'm just staying focused on these couple of names. And again, if this doesn't work out, if it does work out, this orange line you're looking at on my chart, that's just prior day VWAP. That's what I'm looking for. So that's, you know, again, when I trade, everything I do is always risk reward, really right there. Every trade I do is defined. So if I'm going to risk a couple of points, I'm looking to make maybe 10 on this trade. So if I could risk 2 to make 10, that's why I'm interested in the Carvana. Same thing with the Myrna.
Kenny, what about the Lumen?
I don't know the Lumen. What's the Lumen?
The Lumen, L-U-M-N, L-U-M-N. This is a $3.2 billion telecom stock.
Wow. And man, there's so many damn stocks.
Monroe, Louisiana. So you know it's a Fugazi.
Wow. $2 to $3. That looks like something I'd probably look to short. And look at that.
That's why somebody in the chat was like, I'm surprised Kenny's not all over this. Kenny's like, I'm surprised I'm not all over this.
Yeah, there's a reason to short it right there. You had a little barcoding there right at the VWAP, so it breaks down. You know what stock was really annoying yesterday? I sat with that QXO again. Thanks for introducing this to my life. Talk about barcoding. This was me. Look at the stock at 250. Got to be like 2 or 3 million shares went in at the 1250. Sat there. And this is discipline, my friends. As long as it stayed over VWAP, I had to stay in this name. And I just sat there for basically, I don't know, it seemed like 2 or 3 hours. And then it finally went up a whopping 20 cents. Look at the barcoding on this stock. It is completely just rigged to these 20-cent moves. It's the most bizarre action I have seen trading in a while. But you know, it made something on it, but I'm putting this one back on the trash heap.
Let's just remember, this is a software stock from Greenwich, Connecticut. So if you think that these folks in Greenwich, Connecticut aren't participating in these shenanigans that you speak of, let's remember they're literally down the street. They're at the same bars, same restaurants.
There is something otherworldly bizarre about this.
A little fishy.
Yeah, I'm throwing it back in the trash. If it gets over that pre-market high, maybe I got it on the scanner. We'll go back to it. But yeah, I'm concentrating on that Carvana, the Qs.
How many scanners do you have? You have 15 scanners?
No, I am Scan Man. I mean, I have an internal scanner in my mind. That's why I don't sleep. But no, I just scan for new highs, new lows, unusual volume, and again, too many scanners will drive you insane. How many ideas do you need in one day as a day trader?
How many scanners could you possibly?
I know.
It's an inside joke, folks. Inside joke. If you know, you know. If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. I have a team of NASA scientists working on one right now. So On that note, I'm out of here. I'll see you guys in
All
the
right,
room.
adios, Kenny.
All right. The link to Kenny's room is in the chat, and also get his watch list. The QR code was up earlier. We're gonna have Andrew Thrasher join us in a couple minutes. Before that, though, let's just talk meta. We got to talk at least one like newsy thing today.
Give it to me, Spencer.
Meta
It's your
is the
job.
big one.
If we're ignoring the news that you want to bring out, you just go ahead and cut us off. You bring it up.
I mean, I try to sometimes. All right, Meta. This thing is just a freaking monster. It's up almost 10% this morning. Earnings were good. They came in above estimates on the top line. The bottom line, their revenue grew 22% year over year. Of course, we all know Meta makes their money from advertising. So if you compare their advertising revenue growth to their biggest competitor / peer, which is Google and YouTube, Meta's advertising growth trounced Google's advertising growth last quarter. Actually, they doubled it. So huge growth there. What was the number? 3.27 billion daily active people on either Facebook, Instagram, or WhatsApp. That's like half of Earth. It's almost half of Earth is using a Meta app daily. It's insane.
Of all of those, I actually use WhatsApp. I don't use Instagram. I've never had a Facebook account. Fun fact.
I mean, yeah. Most people that I know are not using Facebook.
Because when Facebook came out, I was graduating college, and all my friends were getting Facebook accounts so that they can meet girls. Right? That's literally why they were like, dude, you can meet girls on the internet. It's fantastic. And I'm like, but I have a girlfriend. I had a girlfriend at the time. So I was like, I don't want these old women finding me. Was my whole thing. So I was like, I'm going to avoid that whole thing. You guys go find your ladies. I already got mine. I don't need the old ones screwing this up. So then all I heard was terrible things about Facebook. Like, oh my God, I got caught on this. And then the divorce filings, all of them mentioned Facebook. I'm like, so I went from like avoiding it to like, wow.
Yeah.
This is terrible. So I never got one.
So fun fact, the old ladies wouldn't have bothered you back then because Facebook was very different in its early days. You needed a college email address to even create an account.
I think you're underestimating these crazy women.
No, I think
they find ways.
Facebook, so you don't know.
But I'm with ways.
I turned mine off when I graduated college. I was more of a Juicy Campus user anyway. You know,
Juicy Campus.
Yeah, Juicy Campus was more my style back in the day.
Yeah.
Was okay.
The only time I've been on Facebook in the last, I don't know, a couple of years has been to use Marketplace, is to sell something, right?
And sometimes I'm like, I have to use Roses to go on and look for stuff because the Marketplace is awesome. Absolutely. Yeah.
It is pretty good, except for the scammers. But anyway, enough about that. The stock is a beast. Like I said, it's up 10% this morning.
$120 billion this morning.
Yeah. How is their revenue still growing at the rate that it's growing when it's as mature as it's been, right? I mean, it's advertising. Everyone knows that Facebook has dominated that market for a decade now, and the revenue is still growing 22% on a year-over-year basis. It's wild.
Facebook, their numbers continue to just be absolutely incredible, out of this world. Like you said, Spencer, Google's the only one who could touch them, and they really can't from a growth perspective. I think Facebook comes with different risks than the other Mag 7s. I think at a certain point, Instagram and Facebook probably go too far and get in trouble with regulators. They're probably the first one to deal with some nasty regulation from the government of all the Mag 7s because their products are different, man. They're things can get dark on the Instagram for people. It's not good. It's not good. And they do nothing to stop it.
Who's they?
Facebook. There's a big.
Why would they want to stop it?
Suicides and stuff like that. They find themselves in hot water.
That's not their problem.
It is. It's going to be.
Maybe it is, but they don't look at it that way.
Well, the government does.
All right, I guess we'll see.
They have
as bad as the things happen on Instagram and all that stuff. This is why I'm not in that. I don't see the point. Could you imagine like going to an app to go look at pictures of other people's vacations? Like that sounds terrible. Like why would you do that? Like I don't understand.
I know.
Yeah, it sounds terrible.
I'm just saying.
But at the end of the day, you have to be careful with the freedom of speech. Like, you can't stop people from expressing themselves, you know, just because people have mental illnesses and, you know, don't know how to.
JC, you can't dismiss it like that. They come with a different set of risks because they're dealing with minors. They're dealing with children.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, you make a good point there. You know, it's above my pay grade, but yeah, you're right.
You can't just say like a child who gets depressed from watching their friends do stuff on Instagram has a mental illness.
Well, it also gets back to their parents. Why are their parents letting them do that?
Sure.
True.
But the internet, it's a wild world out there. You know,
just because the kid has shitty parents, like, what are you going to do? Go around and find all the shitty parents around the world? There's a lot of them.
Good luck stopping your children from using Instagram. How do you
bring it back?
Really,
very easily. What do you mean?
How do you? It's the internet. How do you stop it? I don't know.
There are a lot of ways to stop it, Strazza. You obviously don't have kids.
Bringing it back to the chart, though, as much of a beast as this company is, the stock has still done nothing for most of the year. Oh, right. So nice digestion. You call that, JC?
No.
No. Done nothing since like February.
Yeah, this thing's pushing all-time highs, Spencer. I don't know. I'm not sure. Here, throw up slide 2.
Fine.
Yeah, this thing's been a beast.
And then after that, I'm bringing Andrew Thrasher on.
Yeah, this thing's been an absolute beast. This thing closed the year at 350. This thing's over 500 right now. Yeah,
those are monthly.
Nothing flat.
JC, this thing went like 2 years without having one down month.
I know this is one of the greatest trades I've ever put on in my entire life. This was last spring in 23, right? In 2023, and think about it. It was one of the greatest trades I ever put on in my life, and I sold way too early. So just think about that.
I think it's higher risk reward than its peers, right? Even you could see it in the drawdown and the V-shaped bottom. If you look at something like Microsoft, Apple, Google, they didn't sell off the way Facebook did last cycle.
Can we just talk about just quickly that Nvidia added $300 billion in value yesterday?
Yeah, we've never seen numbers like this before. $
300 billion in value
on somebody else's earnings report, by the way.
There are only 25 companies on the planet that are worth more than what Nvidia gained yesterday morning.
Yeah.
On somebody else's news, to Strazza's point.
So good.
Crazy.
300 billion.
Yeah.
I think that's like, I feel like people are like underestimating just how much money that is.
Well, the big news yesterday was like, oh, Bank of Japan spent like 30-something billion ultimately handling their currency, right? Or what do you call it? Intervening in Forex markets over the last month. And then Nvidia is like, hold my beer, and 300 billion in a day. Big numbers, though. Both a lot of billions.
All right.
300 billion. One morning.
Yep.
Please.
Bring them on.
Yo, Jay, we've been friends for a long time. Make the call.
I mean, this is pretty professional, guys.
Nice show you got going here.
Mr. Thrasher.
What's going on, JC?
How's how these fitness competitions you're doing? You're looking pretty jacked these days, bro.
Thanks. Yeah, I just got back from that was my first national one 2 weeks ago. So it was a ton of fun. Really, really hard, really tough. But it was a little.
Where was it?
That was 8 hours south in Joplin, Missouri.
Joplin, Missouri. Okay.
2,000 person town. Yeah. It started out as just 50 people, this really tiny competition several years ago, and now it's 800 competitors from just about every state in the country. It's massive. They're moving it next year. It's gotten too big, but it was a lot of fun.
Did you win?
No. I was just happy to have qualified to even get an invite to go.
Got it. So you're there for the 7th place trophy. That's more than good enough.
Yeah, I'll take. We got 1 second place in an event, 2 top 5 finishes. So we were happy with how we did, but no, we weren't going to expect to win.
And are these CrossFit things?
Yeah, it was all CrossFit.
That's cool. So we've been talking a lot about volatility these days, and then Spencer just being gangster, be like, guess who we have on tomorrow? I'm like, who? It's like Thrasher. I'm like, get out of here. Like, what are the chances? And Spencer's like, you underestimate me. You underestimate me. So very exciting to have you here to talk about volatility, which we talked about so much. So, I mean, relatively elevated VIX has gotten us selling puts, putting on bull call spreads, acting in ways that would behoove us to do based on elevated volatility relative to where it's been, of course. So that's how we think about it. How do you think about all this?
Yeah, so I use volatility as a way, as a portfolio manager for a wealth management firm, I use volatility as a way to gauge market risks. So if we're in a period where I think we could see volatility go higher, use that to look for opportunities to either de-risk portfolios or maybe start taking profit in certain things. Just kind of when you see storm clouds coming, maybe we want to get kind of ready for a storm type thing. So we're not using options within our portfolio, so not doing the same type of plays, but it's great. There's many ways to play it, like you said. So we used my volatility gauge was looking for a low kind of mid-June in volatility. Saw kind of 3 signals there, each one basically marking the low. Then we top ticked the VIX with the same system when we got kind of near right around 20-ish at the end of last week. And now we've saw the big rollover. Now we're back to I think we got under 16 yesterday or so.
Is it that big of a rollover? I'm surprised the VIX is still as elevated as it is, to be honest.
Yeah, I think you probably still have maybe some earnings stuff in there, but I mean, it's not a big drop. I mean, yeah, we didn't really get the big explosion, and it still could go higher. We didn't see a big shift in the futures curve for volatility. We had a little, like 9 got above 30 day, 90 got above 30 day, but we didn't see a complete shift in backwardation contango or anything like that.
Can you explain that when you say backwardation? When you say contango, explain to the folks what that means.
Yeah, sorry. So the VIX curve is all futures options. So when looking at the contracts, you're going to gauge fear based off which contract is trading above or below other contracts. So when we're in a really big fear type of environment, people are pricing shorter dated volatility. So 9 days, 30 day is getting a premium above longer dated volatility, 3 months, 6 months, and so on, because people are trying to hedge kind of the chaos of right now. And so we can kind of gauge that. Traditionally, you'll see it priced higher further out you go, knowing that further out in the future, there could be things we just don't understand, or volatility is being priced at a larger premium further out in time. And so when things like the volatility of the COVID crash or any type of down market, people start loading up on puts and more protection. We start seeing a higher rate of volatility buying closer to today's date. And so those current contracts go up, and we see the whole curve shift to where the current month contract, next month contract, they start getting priced at a higher premium than 3, 6, 12 months out.
Is it really as simple as people are all piling in to buy insurance at the same time? Is that kind of what spikes that, or is there
that's what pushes it? But it's volatility, and this is one thing that some people get often confused or wrong, is volatility works both ways. So we often see the largest expression of high volatility to the downside. We don't often see the market crash up like we did kind of in like January, February of 17 or 18. But so traditionally there's more emphasis put on downside protection because that's where you kind of see the waterfall down. But volatility is expressed in both ways. It can be up or down. It's just the down is what really gets it moving.
Can you talk about asset prices? We know they trend, right? We know that they're not random. Volatility tends to be more mean reverting in nature. Can you talk about how you think about that mean reversion? Extremes to the downside, extremes to the upside. Is there one side that's more relevant than the other?
So ask that again.
So volatility mean reverts, right? You see high volatility readings tends to come down, low volatility readings tend to come up eventually, versus like the S&P 500 that trends up, trends down, trends sideways, right? It's less trending in nature, more mean reverting in nature. But as a portfolio manager, how do you think about that concept?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm less concerned with the actual level because there's less predictive, I think, value in just the fact that the VIX is at 15 or the VIX is at 12. Yeah, when we start getting like VIX 9 or 10, there's not much left for it to go. But it can also stay at those levels. So if it's not trending, we could see, and we saw it kind of this year where volatility just died and it just wasn't going up or down. And so I'm less concerned with the actual level, and like I'm often looking at is the compression when it's not moving and it's building up, that dispersion gets really low. That's what precedes often big spikes, and that's what we saw build up kind of in May and then really get exacerbated in June. And why we started saying, okay, this is probably going to be a low in volatility. We're looking for something to spike higher, and then we did get a move from 12, 13 up to almost 20.
Can you explain the volatility of volatility?
Yeah, the VIX of VIX. So I mean the volatility.
I've always had a hard time with that. Seriously.
Yeah, it's really pretty simple. Volatility index is using the options of the S&P. The VVIX, volatility VIX, is using the options of the VIX, options futures of the VIX. So it's just expressing how much people are pricing in. So it's just kind of the second derivative of volatility for the S&P. So that's why it's often interesting when you see them start to diverge, when you start seeing a larger premium placed on VIX contracts than equity contracts, and you might seeing the VVIX go up when the VIX isn't moving, then you see, okay, maybe there's some expression of volatility or expression of traders trying to buy maybe protection or express the expectation of volatility is going to go higher, making VIX contracts at a higher premium. And that often precedes what happens then in equity volatility. So often you'll see traders look for those divergences of VVIX going up and then looking for VIX to start going up, and then obviously equity options would.
So you're looking for the volatility of the VIX as somewhat of a leading indicator, you think?
It can be, yeah. When you start seeing when it starts seeing it go higher.
And is there a volatility of the volatility index? Like, is
not
there a
yet,
third?
but I'm shocked we probably don't have one yet. But yeah, because there's
how is there not a leveraged ETF on the volatility of the volatility of the VIX? You know,
there's not contracts that do all those second, third, fourth derivative. But I'm sure there used to be, obviously, as you know well, there used to be the ETFs that were leveraged towards it. So you could do an ETF play on it.
Yes, ETNs, ETFs. What's the difference?
Well, there technically, yeah, there is, but yeah.
All right, so as a portfolio manager, here we are. Just closed out July, new monthly candlesticks. You know, I get very excited about that.
And I could care less.
You really hating on monthlies?
I couldn't tell you last time I looked at a monthly chart. I just
weeklies are as much as you do.
I feel like you get too much. I get why you watch them. I get why everyone watches them and fully respect it. But for what I do, when I'm looking for, I think it's too smoothed out. So I always laugh when you, and I know part of it's kind of tongue in cheek. It's like highest monthly close, and that print could have been 2 weeks below the intra-month high. But it's just the fact that we closed a month at a certain level. I think we lose too much of kind of the supply.
It's too smooth for you.
Yeah, we lose too much of the supply demand back and forth when we look at just one close 12 times a year.
Because some would argue it's not smooth enough, and they got to go full send quarterlies.
And then they go get their CFA, and they can wait for earnings calls, and then get.
You know, I was on the phone with David Cox a few weeks ago.
Yeah, super smart dude.
This is actually a month ago, and he's like, JC, you see those quarterlies, bro? And I was like, really, quarterlies, David? Really? He's like, I didn't used to, but I have my quarterly workbook.
I saw a chart this morning of someone printing monthly VIX charts. It was like,
yeah, what's wrong with that?
Because you have a product that can go. You could have had VIX this month go to 40 to 12 to 10 to 20, and then we closed at 12. And it doesn't tell you at all the story of what volatility did that month.
Yeah, you do. You have the candle. It tells you.
Yeah, I just don't. No, this was a closing, close to close.
Got it. That's a little aggressive. I'm with you on that, especially for something like the VIX.
Yeah. But I got another thing I want to talk to you about. If you didn't have anything else, was the NYC. You've been talking about a lot about this. You talked about with Ari the other day. NYSE making a new high on the advanced decline line.
Yeah. Should we care?
No.
Tell me why.
I was so looking forward to hopefully we talk about this because you and I disagree on this. And I wanted to talk to you about it.
What do I say about it? Out of curiosity.
That it's bullish. That it's important.
I don't know how bullish it is. I think it's not bearish, but I don't know how bullish an advanced decline line is.
Is the NYC advanced making a new high positive or negative or neutral towards the expression what breadth looks like?
I don't think it's a negative. I think it's a positive. I think it's a net positive. No.
See, I would disagree. I would think it's neutral at best, in that
it's probably leaning towards neutral. Like, where does it fall on the scale of most important things? Probably not anywhere near the top, right?
Yeah.
It's down there with seasonality.
it got picked up a lot at the end of June. A lot of people were discussing it about how we hit a new high. This is a positive. Breadth is no longer bearish. NYC advanced decline line made a new high, and people really got pulled up on it. And then that was the top. And it's just the whole math behind the advanced decline line. I think people really.
And when was it the top? When was it the top?
When the NYC was making its new high last at the end of June, or when the S&P peaked, it was the NYC was at a new high.
Yeah, but what the New York Stock Exchange and the S&P 500 have very little to do with each other. I would say it's probably more, more international in the New York Stock Exchange, a lot more cyclical, less tech.
My beef I take with it when people look at it, because they did the same thing in 2018 when the advanced decline lines were making new highs ahead of the index, is they take away the price difference. A stock can go down 20% yesterday and then go up 0.5% today, and it is advanced. Is that still a positive development for that stock? No. So the price change isn't taken into account for an advanced decline line. And so we saw it in 2011, made a new high on the NYSE and all the advanced decline lines. Then the market dropped 20% because it's not taking into account the actual percentage moves within that stock.
I will tell you this, Andrew, and we'll both agree because it's just facts, right? Yeah. The corrections in the market tend to be much more severe after divergences between the indexes and the advanced decline lines. Any of the corrections that come off new highs and AD lines tend to be relatively muted, right?
Yeah, I agree. I think divergences are very important. We saw it before the 2022 decline, that we saw advanced decline start to decline. That is it is bearish. So I think the lack of evidence isn't evidence. When people say we made a new high in the advanced decline line, that's positive. It's not a positive, it's neutral. I think the only thing that we can use in the advanced decline lines for is divergences. I don't think they can be used as leading indicators when they're making new highs.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't necessarily know that it's leading. It's probably coincident, if anything else, right?
Yeah, fair. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm more interested in the new highs list.
Agreed.
I'm more interested in sector rotation. Like, it's more like, are sectors rotating or are they not?
Yeah. And I think that's important. And I think this current market, it's different, because when we have had when we've had sector rotation, like, the saying, you say it all the time as well, sector rotation can be the lifeblood, rotation's lifeblood of a bull market. I think this market's different. It's different this time, the infamous quote, when you have 6 stocks that make up 30% of the market and most of them are tech. To have us rotate out of the whale share of the market, where the best sectors over the last month, utilities and real estate, ain't going to carry this market when you have NVIDIA that's dropping 18% and most of the top 6 stocks were in 10% drawdowns. They've now had that recovery, but I think sector rotation is a much more difficult thing now because we have the behemoths you guys were talking about, NVIDIA exploding. When you have that type of stock that has so much importance, I think sector rotation becomes much harder for the market to lean on and continue higher. When
you say the market, you're talking about the S&P 500 specifically.
Yeah, I mean it's the market. Like they're all the same.
Yeah, but is it, to your point, is the S&P 500 the market if 6 names represent such a large percentage? I think the point you're making is that there are broader measures of the market.
There are, and I mean, small caps hit a new high, and so you look at S&P 1500. But I think if you
S&P 600 new all-time high monthly close, right?
It made weekly and daily. It made a new high, and so I think that's really important. Is the market? If you saw the S&P go down 20% and small caps were down 5%, people are going to say we're in a bear market. No one gives a crap what small caps are doing if you have the S&P, the largest 500 stocks in the world, down 20%.
Oh, I'm glad you're here, Thrasher, because people don't believe me. Spencer and Strazza, come back in here. In here because we have a witness. They don't believe me that remember when you and I were in Arizona? That was like what, last June or May? I started my presentation. Thrasher was there heckling me. I started my presentation. Raise your hand if you think that the stock market, the S&P 500 closes higher at the end of the year or lower at the end of the year. Everybody said lower. Raise your hand if you think it's a bull market. Nobody raised their hand. Raise your hand if you think it's a bear market. Everybody raised their hand. Tell them that that's what happened.
Yeah. Oh, it was the sentiment, and you could see it in just that conference puts out an exposure index, and you could see it in their own data.
This is the National Association of Active Investment Managers. Yeah. By the way, lovely folks. Just a bunch of financial advisor nerds like us, like great folks.
Shit,
right? But they don't believe. They think I'm exaggerating.
I don't know if I ever said that, but okay.
And your point was that most stocks had bottomed right then. The market had the indexes hadn't yet, but most stocks had begun forming their bottoms around that time.
Well, the indexes had already bottomed out, right? The index had bottomed out the prior year. This was last year, remember? This was 23.
Okay, yeah.
We had already bottomed out, but everyone was waiting for that rollover, the recession, you know, the war, the president, the yield curve. Last question. Tell me about the yield curve and why it's the most important indicator in the world, Thrasher.
It's not.
It's not.
No, I couldn't tell last time I looked at a yield curve chart. If I want to know what's happening in bonds, I'll look at the bond price charts.
Right. That's exactly right. The chat loving your name, Thrasher, being such a badass name. You know, it could be a character, like a superhero. I agree. Pretty badass.
Appreciate it.
What are you drinking these days? You on some kind of kick lately?
Last thing
Italy kick.
See, wine-wise, most recently at a California blend 2 days ago. Forget the name of it. Drink a lot of more white wine in the summer. Rosés, white wines, things like that. Don't drink a ton of reds.
You've been slacking on your French wine.
I have been. In the summertime, I just don't do a ton of wine in the summer, a ton of red wine. But do a lot of. We'll do some Chard. We'll do some Chardonnay.
Dude, get yourself. You like shellfish? Shellfish?
Yeah, if I'm in the right place. I'm in Indiana, so we're not overloaded with a lot of good shellfish.
Get some. You can get some shrimp, right? Get some shellfish, some lobster. Get some shellfish and get a muscadet. Muscadet from Nan, Sir Lee. So you're getting that viscosity from the dead yeast cells. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Always appreciate a good wine recommendation from JC. He's the man.
I do what I can. I'm not very good at most things. I got like 4 things I'm good at.
You're pretty good at those 4, so I'll take it.
I do what I can. Thank you, Mr. Thrasher. I appreciate you.
Have a good day.
Thanks a lot.
Adios. You know what I like about Mr. Thrasher? He doesn't let me get away with shit. You know, he's one of those. Calls me out. I respect that.
I swear, no one loves the word viscosity more than you. You use that word like at least once a month.
Viscous?
Viscosity. I never even heard that word used in a sentence before I met you, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
You got to hang out with bougier folks.
I don't know. All right.
Viscosity. You know, sometimes that wine is a little too thin. You want some of that, you know, some of that creaminess, you know? All right, guys, listen, I love you guys. I'm out. I got a conference call tonight. Put the link on the chat if you want to join us for tonight's incredible session. It's like my favorite thing. So I'll see you guys there. Adios.
Peace.
All right, I'll drop the link to if you are a member of AAC Premium to be on the conference call. If you're not a member, this link will prompt you to sign up, and it's the thing that JC is probably most happy to do of all the things he does, and twice a month. So I'll drop that link in the chat in a moment. Here it is. It's 9:35. We should probably talk about some more stocks, Steve. I think.
ARM, Qualcomm, Carvana, Lam Research.
Can we start with the Carvana? Because it's up a lot. Well, I think maybe it was up more. It may have been up more. Let me just check.
It's not a lot for Carvana, but yeah, this thing.
It was up more. Okay, it's now. Very surprise profit. You don't see this every day. Estimate was that they would lose 12 cents per share. No, they actually made 14 cents per share last quarter.
It's incredible.
Ooh, money.
Killing it. It's a great story.
Guidance was all right. So yeah, like I said, up 7%. It's been leaking pretty much. I mean, the after hours high was kind of immediate, but they're leaking all morning. But nonetheless, another good candle for one of the biggest recovery stocks from the bear market was in Carvana. Continues to amaze.
Wow.
All right. What else did I have on the list here? Can we go to do we have the ARM chart handy?
Roblox.
We do not have the Roblox chart handy. I can just show you that.
I got some.
We have ARM, which is down. What is it now? Oh gosh, almost 9% now. Yeesh. What? I don't know, man. The guidance was light. That's what it was. Yep. Q2 revenue guidance. The EPS guidance. The estimate was at the high end of the range that they gave. So,
you know, it's not easy being a semiconductor stock out here recently. Have you noticed that? Crazy.
I guess
What a change.
it depends who you are, right?
I mean,
But,
does it depend,
yeah,
or is there one and then there's everything else?
Yeah, Qualcomm's kind of the same story today, right? Down 5% on their report.
I mean,
Was up, was up last night. Qualcomm hit 195 last night. Dear Lord.
Spencer, even the way some of these things bounced yesterday, like AMD, Dell, I know is not a semi, but super micro, like the AI themed trades, they just sold off all day long. Another rip that got sold for this group right now. So let's see.
Yeah.
We'll see. I don't know.
Not everything is down here this morning. Do we have a Shake Shack chart, which is up
Shake Shack
16% today?
You see the Care DX up like 30%. I don't know what that company does, but we recently wrote.
Yeah, CDNA. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what that is, honestly.
Wow, look at Shake Shack. That's a nice one. Really?
Yeah.
Good chart.
It's near the top of the leaderboard. Top of the leaderboard is Mobileye and Moderna, and this random company I never heard of, Alphatech. I don't know what that is.
Mobileye. This chart's so bad, Fonz. If you want to mark it up quick, just so we could show people what stocks look like before they go to zero. This chart is just awful. The Mobileye.
This is a lesson in spinoffs, right? Because remember Mobileye bought by Intel, right? I want to say a few years back,
and then they spun.
And then Intel said, "All right, we're done with that." Spun them right back out into an IPO, and that almost never works. When you re-IPO a subsidiary, not spinning off a business unit, when you re-IPO a subsidiary,
why did they want to give it away?
Because I don't know, because they're Intel.
Yeah.
They spend all their money on Red Hat. I don't know.
They needed the money.
Yeah.
Wayfair continues to struggle. Down about 7% on earnings today.
Wayfair, the biggest, the wildest report that I saw overnight was Teladoc. That's going to zero.
So bad.
That stock is going to zero. TDOC, it's down only 10% here this morning.
Yeah.
But their earnings were terrible. Their sales came in below estimates. The commentary was not good at all. So
I endorse that message, Spencer. So, ones that I'll have my eye on this afternoon. This afternoon's a big one for me. Coinbase, DraftKings, Square, Snapchat, Rocket Mortgage. I know Amazon and Apple, they matter too.
Just bring up the calendar. Today is probably the biggest day of this earnings cycle for all the names you just mentioned and more.
Man, big afternoon. Big afternoon here. ConocoPhillips, one more that we should mention because energy stocks are getting interesting again. Pretty muted reaction from Conoco. Did they beat?
I didn't see that one, actually.
You know, I was sitting here yesterday, Spencer, after our meeting, asking myself quietly to myself, do I own enough ExxonMobil? I don't.
Well, you'll find out tomorrow.
I got more questions than answers right now about energy.
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just so used to looking at it through the lens of the XLE that I don't. Maybe I probably don't look at the stocks enough. Honestly, I just look at the XLE. But
the early leaders in energy are breaking out to new cycle highs. I think that's really constructive for the broader sector, right? But you got to see the big boys. The big boys go, right. So like Exxon's report, which is what, tomorrow? Yeah, tomorrow.
Exxon and Chevron tomorrow morning.
If that breaks Exxon out of this multi-year range, 3-something year range now, it could be go time. You know, that could set things up for the whole group. You want to talk about the 3 Bs, Spencer?
Oh, yeah. I don't actually think you answered the question earlier. What are the 3 Bs?
I didn't answer the question. Banks. First B, banks. The reversal is in. These stocks are so good right now. They're trading better than anything over the past 3 weeks. Since the Powell pump, right? Since the Powell pump. What happened? Why are we talking about the 3 Bs? In Q4 of last year, we had this interest rate sensitive rally. All of the stuff that was held down by high interest rates was screaming higher from late October to late December. Groups like real estate, biotechs, banks, home builders, right? These were your leaders. Then what happened? We came into the year expecting like 6 rate cuts. And then gradually, as time went on, the market decided, wow, we're not getting 6 cuts. We're not even getting close to 6 cuts, right? So that interest rate sensitive rally really lost steam a lot. Look at the small caps, look at the biotechs, look at the banks. It's dead money sideways for the first 6 months of this year. Now, all of a sudden, since Powell was on Capitol Hill and we got the cool CPI, this was 3 weeks ago now, Spencer, right? These groups just exploded, came back to life again. We got the small cap breath thrusts, we got the momentum thrusts, all that stuff. I think it's the same playbook. So the interest rate sensitive trade is 3 Bs. JC thinks it should be 4 because how can you not include bonds in there? I want the juice. I think you're going to get more from banks, biotechs, and buildings. Banks, biotechs, and buildings. You could throw builders in here too, but it's the REITs as much as anything. Throw up the real estate. This has been the worst sector this whole cycle, the worst one. Primary trend is shifting up for the worst group of stocks. Bull market stuff. So I think the 3 Bs, that's your playbook for the next, I don't know, I would say 2 quarters for the back half of the year. It's the same playbook as Q4 of last year, the October to December rally. And I think the 3 Bs are a good place to hang out.
Speaking of bonds, you see the thing about Netflix? Their first bond issuance in years, and they were seeking to raise $1 billion, and they got $19 billion of orders.
You know, not bad. Not bad.
No, not a bad problem to have at all.
We talked about how like it's going to be so hard to raise capital in this environment. Interest rates are so high. Tech stocks will never see these valuations again. This was a popular thing that people were saying in 2021 and 2022. Tech stocks, they'll never see that valuation again. A lot of them are already back there. We are so bad, Spencer.
All right, other headlines that caught my eye: the Bill Ackman IPO is no more. Sad. Couldn't raise the money. Unlike Netflix, they couldn't raise the money for his IPO. So,
oh, Mr. Ackman. So I keep seeing headlines and keep not reading the articles because who cares about him? What happened?
He was trying to raise $25 billion originally for this weird IPO fund thing. He lowered that target from 25 billion to 2 billion, and then said, actually, never mind. Let's just forget the whole thing ever happened.
Remember when he was railing against Carl Icahn for his IEP? Remember that?
Yes. Well, I read the book that Scott Wapner wrote about them, mostly about Herbalife, actually, but it's a really easy read. I read it in like one weekend. But
Ackman's having similar problems. The corporate structure of Icon's publicly traded equity and what Ackman was trying to do is the same thing. So he was out there making fun of Icon last year, and now look at him.
Harminder asks, no Sean today? Fake news. We have Sean here.
Woo.
And Sean's had an eventful week. So
wow.
Bring him on.
Yeah.
What's happening? Wow. So I got people calling for my entrance on the show. This is great.
You do.
Wow.
Great.
Sean, you're alive. Do you want to tell everybody?
It wasn't all that dangerous. We did have a forest fire close to my house, real uncomfortably close to my house this week. Had to evacuate for one night. Everything's fine. Everything's good. But you definitely could see flames coming over the hill from my bedroom window, which was not.
Did you say that the pictures looked scarier than the actual situation? Because dude, those pictures, like, it was like right behind your house. It looked like.
Yeah, I mean, look, it was uncomfortably close. The thing that was keeping us cool is that the fact that the wind was blowing the other way. So basically, the fire was coming up the backside of a mountain, but once it got to the top of the mountain, there was a strong wind blowing it away. So that's what was keeping us cool and keeping the firefighters able to keep it away from town. So
just screw those people that are on the other side, right?
well, there's not that much. I mean, there were a couple of houses up there. Yes, there were some houses
Okay.
that burned, but that was a very sparsely populated area that burned, thankfully.
Good.
So how does that go, Sean? Like, are they driving fire trucks up a mountain? Like, how are they getting water up there to put that?
Mostly air. They had airplanes flying over all afternoon, dropping fire retardant stuff. I mean, it's like this pink red slush thing. I don't know what it is, but
It's like a giant water balloon.
yeah. So they were flying all day. They did have, there is like one dirt road that goes up there, and there were fire trucks going up there. But the thing is, you get a fire truck up there, there's no water for them to pull from, right? They could only carry the water that they could bring up, which is hard to bring up a mountain. So
True.
it was really just air and firefighters digging ditches and stuff like that. Whatever the wildfire spotters do, whatever they do, they did it, and they did a great job.
Well, we're glad that you and the family are okay, and now you're back in the office where you can fight fires on your screen.
And I feel like I'm a firefighter in the market sometimes. That is for sure. And speaking of, so PSA guys, I know JC loves to talk about monthly candles on the first of the month. That's his thing. Well, I'm the options trader here, and I will tell you, and maybe this is a good PSA for you, Steve, is that it's the beginning of the month. This is the time that if you have any positions, some swing trades with August expiration options, now is the time where you want to start tightening up your stops or trimming them out. If they're positions that you're long premium and they're out of the money, you probably want to consider getting out of that position, because now theta, starting now, is really going to become your enemy. Start trimming those out. If you're sitting on a winner, great. If the options are in the money, great. But maybe start being a little bit more aggressive with your trailing stops, because again, you're running out of time.
No, so this is great. Sean's talking about theta decay. So what is the general rule? Is it that once you come into a new calendar month, you're looking to close out those monthlies, or is it once you're 30 days out, you're looking to close out? Like, so this month we have the August 16th expiration. That's the big one. Most of your options will probably expire on August 16th if you're in August options. But that's like 15 days away. Do you start looking at those 2 weeks ago and saying, that theta decay is kicking in, or you wait until the month turns?
No, I wait till the month, just because it's clean and simple, right? I'm not trying to be so precise, like, okay, 30 days to go, time to get more aggressive. It's more like it's the first of the month. It's easy for me to remember. Every first of the month, it's time to review the positions. And sometimes there's 20 days of expiration at that point. Sometimes there's 15. I'm not that concerned about it, Strazza. It's more just, it's a simple, dumb rule that, hey, it's expiration month now. Now it's time to get serious. So that's it.
When I had smaller account size, I would get down 50% on a call option and then just pretend like it wasn't there anymore. But if you're trading any sort of size in these, just take it off the table. Take that money back. Right?
Yeah. I see in the chat there, Tickor is talking about the square position. I don't know if he's talking to me. I don't have a square position on. We traded it a while ago, but nope, not in that one anymore. We got out of that. The position that I had on in square, we got out on July 15th. So
I think we could flip the book here. And this is looking like a failed top in square. I don't know if we have a chart, but PayPal just knocked it out of the park. Look at the last 3 candles in PayPal. And Square is reporting this afternoon. Ooh. So am I building a starter position this week? Yes.
I like it. Hey, and that reminds me, Strazza, what do you think about, the way this market's reacting post the pow?
No good. It's no good, dude.
You think it's no good?
I don't think it's great. I wanted to see a continuation of the trend that kicked off 3 weeks ago with Powell. I want to see the flags in IWM, KRE, IBB rip higher after he was done talking yesterday, and they didn't. So maybe they come in and do it today, but that was it was a snooze fest, the Powell Q&A, and B, the market reaction was a dud. So I was expecting.
I think I'm going to take the other side. I like the action. I think the fact that the market didn't do anything crazy following his talk, I think that's constructive.
with the way some of these stocks have been sold off recently, I thought we could get a surge, like a massive rebound off support. I'm talking about like the AMDs, the micro, like they're at key levels. Dig in, give us some big candles. I didn't see that. So here's what does happen. Sometimes you'll see the move kind of play out over the course of a couple days following the news. So maybe it's not over yet. But I wanted to see more. I want to see ARK stocks ripping. I want to see all the speculative stuff going. I want to see real estate break out of this base in a decisive way. So like I had a little checklist of things I wanted to see. Maybe my checklist is biased based on what's in my portfolio, but I didn't see those things.
Yeah, no, I'm constructive. I feel like this was good. I like that it was muted. I think if we had any kind of wild reaction in either direction, then I think that means that people, either bulls or bears, were surprised by what they heard. But the fact that no one seems all that surprised,
yeah.
Look, we know that markets don't like to not know what's going on, right? They don't like indecision. They don't like uncertainty. And when there's uncertainty, markets tend to get volatile and tend to go down.
Yeah.
But when things are a little bit more certain, dollar cost averagers just keep doing their thing, putting money in the market day after day, month after month, and things tend to go up. So I'm constructive. I'm actually, I was going to come in here and tell you guys that I'm starting to feel like we got the all go signal, the green signal. Time to start loading up long. That's how I feel right now.
You like selling puts in some of these?
No, stop. I'm getting tired of you guys talking about selling puts. Tired of it. You guys, it's a very specific move at a very specific time.
Yeah,
and
you're against
it's not a trade you do all the time.
Well, we agree to disagree on this. We've just made too much money doing this all year.
How do you make too much money? You have defined upside. You can't make a whole lot of money. You're taking a hell of a lot more risk than you stand to gain selling a put. Now, I'm not saying selling puts is bad. There's just time and a place for it. It's not an everyday trade.
So Sean sells puts when premium tells him it's a good time to sell puts. I like to sell puts when the chart structures tell me it's a good time to sell puts. So we will have this disagreement forever because we have different starting points. Is that fair?
That's fair. Hey, look, if you're making money at it, keep doing it. That's what I tell people all the time. If you're doing something and you're making money at it, then do more of it. So if you're making money selling puts, then do more of it. I'll be there to bail you out when you get in trouble.
Nice. All right, let's just do some recess and get out of here.
Hit it. I just got to say, I love the sentiment about ARK stocks from Dawson. We continue to see this. People just hate this group of stocks right now. So they're probably going to outperform in the back half of the year. Shout out Team USA.
I've been slacking on my Olympic coverage the last couple of days. I haven't really watched much. What have I missed? Anything good?
A lot of good swimming action. A lot of good stuff in the pool.
Swimming yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay, I watched a little bit of the U.S. men's basketball yesterday. I watched the first half. That was
took care of business.
Looking good, yeah.
I hate the timing of these events, though. Like Spencer explained to me yesterday that France is 6 hours ahead of us. So I have to watch basketball at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. On Fed Day?
That's the way the world works, man.
Who planned this? Didn't they know Powell was speaking?
No, I guess not. Let's see. What did you miss, Sean? There is some viral moments with the shooting competition. I don't know if you saw that, but
I saw the guy from Turkey. It looks like he just walked off the street, picked up a gun. I saw that meme going on.
And he won gold. A lot of good action in the pool. Like I said, we haven't gotten to the track and field part of the Olympics yet. What else has been good? I don't know. That's kind of the highlights for me. Volleyball has been good. It's always good. But
I was hanging out with some people last night, a little neighborhood barbecue, and everybody was raving about the women's rugby, U.S. women's rugby.
Yeah, dude. They won bronze at the buzzer. Crazy. Crazy stuff.
I'll see if I can catch a replay of that. YouTube TV is great for that. YouTube TV's got everything archived. It's great.
Just go on like Twitter and search like US rugby, and you'll see the play at the end. Literally, as time was expiring, they scored a try to win. It's crazy.
Awesome.
Okay, my recess is just very simple. More of a programming note. We're not going to be doing a chart request live today at 1 o'clock because JC and Steve are going live instead to follow up on their video from last week about the breakout multiplier, but just to talk more specifically about the volatility compression scan and how that works and how that fits into the strategy. So the QR code goes to a link. That's where you can watch it. The link is going in the chat as well right now, but it'll be same place it was last week. I'll drop it in the chat. Literally 1 o'clock today, Eastern time. We'll send out some emails, tell people about it. But it's really just, this is the thing that we've gotten the most questions about since last week. So we thought we'd go live again and talk more about it and explain how that scan works. And then we'll give you the scan. Just because we're nice.
This is at 11 or 1?
Is that 1?
Okay.
Yep.
Shout out Stephen Weitzel in the chat. So good to see you in here, buddy.
Stephen Weitzel. Yes. Stephen Weitzel dropped by my Denver Traders meetup a couple of weeks ago. It was awesome.
Yeah, he did.
He's rolling across the country in his RV and happened to be near Denver, so he popped by and it was great, man. My posse of people here in Denver got to be introduced to the wonder that is the Steve Weitzel mind. Right. And Strazza, sorry for you, but he was bragging about our bocce prowess.
I know. That's why I told him he's got to come to Chicago so I could find something else to beat him in. And you too.
All right. Conference call tonight. There's the QR code to join or not if you're a member. And that's it. So we'll see you guys later at 1 o'clock for the breakout multiplier stream. And we'll see you tomorrow from there. So have a good day. Go make money. And see you.
See you, everybody.
I can't take no loss. I don't even know what it